Homo Ex Machina, man from the machine. My name is Chris Versteeg, and I'm here today to tell you a story of a reversal, of how we're pushing the boundaries of science in an entirely new way, and how that can change the way you look at the world around you and even about yourself. So, human beings are good at doing a lot of things, but what I think that humans are best at is stealing. And that might be a bad way to put it, but what I really mean is taking ideas from one domain and ripping them off, essentially. And the biggest person that we steal from, the biggest thing that we steal from is nature. Nature is a bank vault, and humanity is busy popping open safe deposit boxes, taking all the good ideas and putting them to use. From Leonardo da Vinci to the Wright brothers, humans excel at taking ideas, figuring out how and why they work, and putting them to work to solve problems. Most recently, the place we've stolen from is actually from ourselves, from our brains to be specific, and use the principles that we find there to help solve problems. This is what your brain looks like. Okay, this isn't what your brain looks like, but this is what the cells that make up your brain look like. And this is what they look like when we rip them off. It's much simpler, right? They do get more complicated than that. So, on the left is what's known as a biological neural network, and on the right is an artificial neural network. And as the name might suggest, we took principles that we found in the brain and applied them to the artificial neural network, namely densely connected neurons transmitting and transforming information to help accomplish a task. And these artificial systems have gotten very good at doing things that we never thought they could do before. What would you say are defining human abilities? Is it things that separate us from the animals? Is it playing chess, making music, generating artwork? Empathy. That's a good one. Well, in everything except for that, artificial systems have already begun beating their squishier counterparts at many tasks that were until recently considered beyond the reach of machines. But these abilities that they've gained are based on principles that we found originally in the brain. So this is the state of the art of an image classification system. It's a specialized artificial neural network known as a convolutional neural net. And it's based loosely on principles we found in the human visual system. So these sorts of networks are used to do everything from guiding self-driving cars to tagging your Facebook photos with your friends. But we use the principles that we found in the brain in order to construct these things, namely multiple layers and depth of networks which are analogous to brain areas which transform information into more useful representations to classify the image. But can we reverse this process? Instead of using nature to inspire our creations, can we use our creations to inform us about our nature? Is it possible to draw blood from the stone? Recently in neuroscience, this idea has been taking hold. Can we use the tools that we've trained to perform tasks to help understand how the brain does similar tasks? So, the main premise is if you train a model to perform a task that we know is being performed in the brain, and then we look at how the artificial network learns to accomplish that task, can we gain any insight into understanding the processes that the brain might be employing in order to accomplish that task? In visual neuroscience, this reversal has already begun. Deep learning models have shown that artificial neural nets represent information in a similar way as the brain areas that perform visual processing. This implies that the pathways that both the artificial and the biological system perform to solve this task are similar, and we can use one to gain insight into the other. What I'm interested in is how feedback is used to control movements. There's a hidden sense that everyone has known as proprioception. Everyone except for people who suffer from this sort of debilitating disease. Proprioception is the sense of your body in space. It's the ability to, even with your eyes closed, reaching out and being able to bring your hand to your nose is due to the sense of proprioception. And proprioception works by a multitude of small sensors that exist in all of the muscles throughout your body that send signals to your brain that give it feedback about where your body is and how it should be planning to move. As you can see, the loss of the sense of proprioception is debilitating. However, how the sense of proprioception is represented in the brain is not very well understood. There have been very few attempts to record from the brain and understand how the various sensors are being merged. So I hope to use goal-driven deep learning models to gain an understanding about how sensors might combine to be useful in the feedback control of movement. We've begun a brave new world in large-scale neuroscience. In recent years, the ability to record from large spans of the brain have enabled us to have a better understanding of how the brain works. But the problem now lies in understanding general concepts behind how the brain learns to solve problems. And that is where these deep learning models come in. And using these deep learning models, we may one day learn to draw blood from the stone or create man from the machine. Thank you.